Hello there friends, it's CS2 News Hub. In today's episode, ESIC finally bans the match fixers. Perfecto is set to miss his first tournament. How much did Kyousuke cost Falcons, and the PGL Astana playoffs results, plus a bunch of other exciting news from the world of CS2. So without further ado, let's get straight to it. And I think we shall kick things off as usual with some roster updates. Last time we tell you that A-Core would be stepping in for Slant on Gamer Legion at IM Dallas due to visa issues. Well, it turns out Slant wasn't the only one with that problem, because Perfecto also ran into visa issues. He was supposed to play for BC Game as a stand-in in Dallas, but even though his visa got approved, he didn't get it in time. So now Kakanito, who had been sitting on the bench, will be taking his spot. What's even crazier is that the same situation almost happened to Simple. Or maybe he was just joking around, nobody can really tell. But anyways, he managed to make it to the event and even snapped a photo in his new FaZe jersey. And to be honest, I kinda like the drip. Looks awesome. By the way, remember how G2 had to play with a stand-in during the group stage of PGL Astana because Hunter didn't make it in time? Well, turns out it wasn't his fault. According to HLTV's Professor, the issue was entirely on the management side. Professor claims that G2 players weren't denied visas. They just never applied for them in the first place. Instead, players traveled to another country where they were temporarily held up, and that delay ended up costing them. Again, not the players' fault, it was poor planning from the team's management. Specifically the situation with Hunter. And Professor also pointed out that even if there were delays, Hunter could have at least arrived for the final day, just like DJT did. So yeah, all signs are pointing to yet another screw-up behind the scenes. And for a team that's already falling apart, you start to wonder, is this just incompetence or are we looking at straight-up sabotage? Guys, what do you think? Tell us in the comments below. And right before we jump to the next news, let me tell you about CSGO Lock, because this is an amazing and trusted website for everyone who likes CS skin games. Here you can find lots of fun activities such as case battles against real players, crash, and of course case openings. No more donations to greedy Gaben, because on CSGO Lock you will have a lot more cool crates and rewards for active play. Use our promo code CSNews to get 3 free cases and the 100 deposit bonus. They also have lots of deposit methods and instant withdrawals with a store full of skins. Sounds cool, right? What's even better is that if you don't want to deposit, you can always use the referral system and earn some points. Upgrade your level, progress in the leaderboards, and unlock even cooler daily cases. Make sure to use our code CSNews and test your luck on CSGO Lock. Speaking of G2's management, Richard Lewis didn't hold back either. He brought up an old interview with the CEO of G2, and honestly, maybe he shouldn't have, because the backlash that followed was probably the worst the org's leadership has ever faced. Let's break down the main points. First, G2 totally botched their contract renewal policy. That's how they ended up losing Nico. They simply couldn't offer him enough money. Then the same thing happened with m0NESY, who was in a similar situation. Second, Lewis said management underestimated just how much Nico meant to the team. Once he was gone, everything went downhill. Morale, firepower, leadership, initiative, all of it. Which kinda makes sense, considering the whole roster was built around him. Then there's the whole Hooksy situation. G2 won IM Dallas without him, and the org decided to hand over IGL duties to Nico. But he turned it down. So then the management decided to go ahead and replace Hooksy with Snacks. Lewis also slammed their decision to bringing Taz quote-unquote for the vibes. According to him, that move didn't just disrespect Taz as a veteran player, but it also completely devalued him as a coach and erased everything he contributed to the team. And finally, the cherry on top, the rumors about Senpaias joining. But here's the thing, with all due respect to Senpaias, he doesn't fit into G2's new young roster concept, because the guy turns 27 this year. So yeah, Richard Lewis raised some fair points, although he delivered them in a kinda bit harsh way. But well, I guess that's how Richard Lewis does it. Oh, and speaking of Nico and m0NESY, Falcons might be picking up another star soon, Kyousuke. Nothing official yet, but the HLTV team already did some digging and estimated his buyout clause from Team Spirit Academy. It could potentially be around $2 million. They based that on the amount G2 reportedly paid for Monacy back in the day. Just to remind you, it was $600,000. But even more interesting are the potential buyout conditions. Specifically, did Spirit include any clever clauses, like a discounted transfer option if he gets bought out early? Or maybe some extra bonuses tied to prize money and future performances? Like, if Kyousuke wins top 1 HLTV, maybe they could get another $1 million, you know? I guess we will never find out, but anyways, that's a lot of money. Is it worth it? We can't really tell. Kyousuke is a talented and ambitious player, but, well, going straight to Falcons without Tier 1 experience? I guess the time will tell. While Kyousuke is keeping quiet about his rumored move, Scrim isn't hiding anything. Since his return to CS, he's been pretty open about wanting to get back into the pro scene, and it looks like it might be happening soon. Chances are he will start off with a Tier 1.5 team. But, well, let's be real, if anyone can turn such a squad into Tier 1, it's Scream. And you've seen him play on Faceit lately. Yeah, it's kinda scary. The one-tap machine is back. But you know who will definitely not be coming back to the pro scene anytime soon, or if they do, it will be under a massive scandal? It's the players from ATOX. ESIC finally hit them with bans for match fixing. Here's how it breaks down. Cabal, Dobu, and NKT Nuka have lifetime bans now. Flynn is banned for 3 years and Mick for 1 year. Akura and Zesta for 8 months. Meanwhile, Xiao, Sage, Annihilation, and Yami are still under investigation. But my guys, just listen to this. The wildest part is that according to Dobu, this whole thing was tied to the Chinese mafia, which is usually more active in Dota 2, but apparently has made its way into CS as well. Dobu said he was the one to throw the matches directly, while some teammates were just paid to stay quiet, and others didn't even know what was going on. And one of the most obvious match-fixing examples was their match against Falcons during EPL Season 20. Super shady thing. The community overall welcomed the bans, except for Loba, who raised a spicy point. Why not ban some of other shady players we all know about? His own answer was that there's too much money involved, and it's just too risky. Still, it's a big step, and maybe, just maybe, ESIC is finally moving in the right direction. Now, my friends, let's move from China to another continent. Energy will get some serious support on home turf. And not just from the home fans, but from the org's co-founders, Shaquille O'Neal himself. Yeah, the Big Shaq. If you didn't know, he was the one to invest and create Energy in the first place. He's always been a huge supporter of Energy, especially during LAN events. He even appeared in an E-League commercial back in 2016, and has been rapping esports as a legit sport ever since. I guess when a person that huge speaks about esports in a good way, that's kinda cool, isn't it? Alright, my friends, now it's time to dive into the PGL Astana playoffs. And yeah, they were just as hype as the group stage. But I guess we shall focus on just one team's journey here. Imagine this. You are playing for what was once one of the richest and the most successful organizations in the game. And all that's left of the glory days are just 4 stars stitched onto your jersey. The org's financial situation is a mess. The management is making decisions that seemed like they are actively sabotaging the team, swapping players left and right, only making things worse. Then, out of nowhere, they decide to go all in. For one tournament, they bring in a new IGL, a guy who's barely been seen for the past year and a half. And so the tournament begins. I mean, you've probably guessed it by now. We're talking about Astralis. Coming to PGL Astana as outsiders, no one gave them a shot. People were straight up locking them as O3s, writing off entirely. But the group stage went other way. Somehow this dead team clawed their way into playoffs. Okay, fine, you might say they got some lucky opponents that were weak and out of shape, but then in the playoffs, Astralis' first opponent was Navi. I mean, yeah, they're out of shape as well, but everyone figured that it was it. The end of the fairy tale for Astralis. But Kyousuke had other plans. Map 1 was Astralis' pick, Nuke, and things started rough, down 4-8 on T side. But then coming back on CT side, the enemy territory, and they did it. Stare and Device carried the fight physically. Kyousuke did it mentally.
Getting active, but that relies on these players in A buying time, staying alive. Yabi will manage it. Device is closing in. Able to get to the hut just in time. Will he be able to cover? Yes, he will. This is the low econ round. The Device bails them out in. Huge stuff from him.
They clawed it back to OTs and took the first map. Now people were starting to ask, wait, what is going on? Is this real? Next up was Mirage, Navi's pick, and it was just the opposite. Astralis got smashed in the first half, 10-2. Navi fought back with confidence, and it was a tie, so now it was all about the decider, Ancient. Astralis took the first half 8-4, and then they just closed it out strong in the second half. I remind you, against Navi, so Astralis kept their dream alive. And with that win, Kyousuke beat Alexibi for the first time since 2017. But I guess not everything in this story is sunshine. As it turned out, just one day before the match, Kyousuke's grandmother passed away. And yet, he still showed up and played his heart out. Sadly, this wasn't the first time. Before the Blast World Finals, Kyousuke lost his father, and even then he kept going. Say what you will about his gameplay, but the man's got heart. Next, in the semis, Astralis went up against Aurora. Once again, they were the underdogs, the outsiders. But by now, everyone was watching to see just how far this Cinderella story could go. The match kicked off on Mirage, and it was tight from the start. Aurora had a strong early lead, but Astralis adapted. 7-5 in favor of Aurora on the first half. Next, it was straight up back and forth. Teams were trading rounds nearly every time, but that slight edge Aurora built up was just enough. Astralis couldn't quite push it to overtimes, so Aurora took the first map. Next up was Nuke, a map Astralis had already beaten Navi on, so hopes were high. They played a solid T-side, finishing the half 8-4. And as you know, Nuke is a CD-oriented side, so then Astralis just closed it out, winning 9 rounds in a row. That brought us to the decider, Train, and it couldn't have started better. Device pulled off a pistol round ace. So from there, Aurora only managed to scrape together 3 rounds total. Astralis steamrolled them. And yeah guys, just like that, for the first time in 5 years, Astralis made it to a grand final. The last time it happened was back in 2020, during the golden era. I mean, at the end of it. But the final boss was no joke. Spirit. Astralis might have been on a dream run, but waiting for them in the grand final was no easy opponent. Unlike Astralis, Spirit came into the tournament as main favorites, and with the event being held practically on home turf, they had the comfort of the crowd behind them too. But even for the Dragons, the road to the final wasn't smooth. Spirit's playoff run started against Ninjas in Pyjamas, a team that somehow found their second wind, kinda like Astralis, and even made it to the playoffs. And on the second map of that series, Spirit were actually 3-10 down, and they had to pull off a massive comeback. They managed to do it though, but the whole performance looked shaky and far from dominant, or straight up lazy. Spirit's next clash was against Furia, or more accurately, a clash with the entire arena, because let's be honest, the crowd was all in for Molodoi, the new sniper. That energy helped Furia steal the first map, riding the wave of fan support. But when it came to the next two, the hype just wasn't enough. Spirit's structure and firepower took over. Furia couldn't keep up. And here it was, the grand final. On one side, the team everyone expected to see, Team Spirit. On the other, the team no one thought would even make it to the playoffs, Astralis. A best of 5. Both sides had 2 tools to surprise each other. But would it be a battle to the last map or a clean sweep? Let's see. It all started on Dust 2, Spirit's pick, and honestly, it turned out to be their easiest map of the whole tournament. They crushed the first half 11-1 and then quickly closed it out with 2 finishing rounds. 1-0 Spirit and on to the next. I mean, even no highlights. Map 2 was Nuke, Astralis' signature pick. Surely this was their chance to tie it up. This time Astralis didn't fall behind early. They held it 6-6 in the first half, including some brilliant mind games from Styr, who faked an A plan so hard he pulled 3 Spirit players offside. But the CT side, there's where it fell apart. Astralis couldn't recover from Spirit's early pressure in the second half, and the Dragons pushed it through to take map 2.
Right-hand man there to help him. Device pressured over at ramp, and now Donk left in the clutch.
Donk in a clutch.
You hit tab, you look at who's left standing. Fear creeps into the minds of Astralis! Donk is here! So quick, so decisive, so good. The front runner for
Third map was Mirage, Donk's favorite and one of Spirit's strongest, and at this point, most had written Astralis off. They'd lost this map 2 days in a row, and things weren't looking any better. Spirit were 5-3 early, but then something clicked. Astralis just stopped making mistakes. They locked in 10 rounds in a row, playing nearly flawless CT setups. Then they had an explosive T side and completely rattled Spirit. Donk was visibly tilted, and it's hard to blame him. Even Shiro pointed out that this tournament didn't even have the teams like Vitality or Falcons, and yet Spirit were showing serious inconsistency. So yeah, if you didn't get it, Astralis took the map. And next was Train, Astralis' pick. The Danes came out swinging, taking 8 rounds in the first half. At that point, it really felt like Spirit might have underestimated Astralis, and it looked like it could cost them not just the map, but maybe even the whole final. But Spirit knew what was at stake. They pulled themselves together and answered with an 8-round half of their own to get to match point first.
Is the sole hope of Astralis, the one man that can keep them in this! On for the ace! Astralis run it back!
Astralis fought back, they forced overtimes. It was do or die for Hooksey's team. They took the first OT round, but, well, then came Donk, clutching a 1v2, flipping the momentum instantly and entirely. From there, it was all Team Spirit. They closed out 4 rounds in a row, sealed the map and lifted the trophy. Astralis, despite their incredible run, had to settle for second place. Just like that, Astralis' fairy tale with Hooksey as a stand-in comes to an end. The team won't be attending IEM Dallas or the Blast Major, so we won't be seeing them again for at least 2 months. What happens next? Nobody knows for sure, but one thing's clear, their run in Astana definitely boosted the market value of this lineup, especially with Hooksey included. As Zeus put it, for a team in Astralis' situation, even second place feels like a win. Hooksey himself summed it up perfectly. We had our chances, but it didn't work. The Cinderella story is over. Device also praised the result, saying that the team could be proud, and honestly it feels like this silver medal meant more than anyone expected. Oh, and yeah, one more thing. With this run, Hooksey became the first Danish IGL in 2025 to lead a team to a Tier 1 Grand Final. Time to start taking him seriously, I guess. Meanwhile, for Team Spirit, this was the moment to celebrate. It was their first tournament win of the season. Sure, there was some shaky moments and obvious mistakes along the way, but the team knows there's still work to be done. And with IEM Dallas just around the corner, Or maybe they were simply pacing themselves, saving energy for what's next. Guys, what do you think about PGL Astana, Astralis' incredible run and Team Spirit's trophy? Tell us your thoughts in the comments below. Now, with IM Dallas ahead, we're not saying goodbye for a long time. Just first, reminding you to hit the like button, to follow the channel and drop by in the comments below. See you soon.